Before you toss old mini blinds, you have to watch this. Head to the store and buy a tablecloth with a pattern that you love. Start by measuring the inside of your window and subtract ½ inch from both the width and height to ensure a nice fit. Then add 2 inches to both measurements to allow for a 1-inch hem on all sides. Cut your fabric and use iron-on hemming tape to create a clean, even edge on all 4 sides. Next, determine the number of slats needed to space them every 7 to 8 inches from the top to bottom of your shade. Carefully cut off the extra slats and then lay out the remaining ones, marking where each will go. Use hot glue or fabric glue to attach the top of the fabric to the top header of the blind. Finally, glue each slat to the fabric at your marks and secure the bottom of the fabric to the heavy bottom rail of the blinds before hanging your new shade. It's amazing that a tablecloth and the blinds that came with my house can be turned into these custom-looking Roman shades. I'll definitely be making these for the rest of my windows.
So for this project, I chose a thicker cotton material, almost like I think it's cotton duck is what it's called. So after you get your material pre-washed, then you're gonna wanna make sure that you measure your window, the length and the width. So I'm gonna fold over the material from the right side to the wrong side. And then I'm going to iron this ½ inch all the way down. After you have measured and folded over and ironed that ½ inch, you're gonna do it again. What this is gonna do is it's gonna encase that raw edge inside when you take it to your sewing machine. So again, you're just gonna measure, and it should be a ½ inch because that first piece that you measured over is a ½ inch. So you're just gonna fold it onto itself. You're now ready to put it on your sewing machine. You can see the ½ inch because there are marks where to line up your material. And then you also want to make sure that based on where you're lining it up, that your needle is going to be able to catch all the material that you're sewing. So once you get it lined up, you're going to lower the foot down. And then on the side of my machine, it actually has a little tool to cut the thread. And then as you can see, there it is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're worried about the material showing your stitch, you can always make sure you use a lighter color thread so that you're not showing if you get a little wavy. Otherwise just embrace it and just know that you're learning this process. So now that we have everything sewn, we're gonna move to the bottom seam, which is going to be the same exact process that we used for the side seams, where we're going to measure over a ½ inch and measure over a ½ inch more. Okay, now that we're done with the sides and the bottom, it's time to do the pocket for the top. I went ahead and I folded over a ½ inch and I ironed it just like I did all the other steps. Now the difference with this one is we're going to have to allow enough room for the rod to slide in, and it doesn't have to be super big. It just needs to be big enough for it to get in. Now if the measurements are correct, this should be about 1 inch folded over. I want to make sure that again I fold this and I iron it for that inch allowance, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll sew it just right along the edge of this piece of material so that we can slide this part in. After you've inserted the tension rod into the pocket, you want to place it at the very top of the window and let it hang down. In front of the hanging material, you'll want to space out 3 additional tension rods so that these will act as the faux Roman shade. Starting with the top, pull the material so that it blouses over the top rod, and then continue down until you finish with the 3rd and last tension rod. Make sure that you adjust the material accordingly so that it looks even, and if you need to adjust the rods, you'll want to do so at this time. Over time, the puffiness of the material will settle down, so don't worry about it if it looks like it's sticking out too much. And just like that, you created your own faux Roman shade.
Pick up a couple of tension rods to make this easy, no sew and no holes unique window treatment. I'm measuring the distance between the two walls on both sides of the window. The width measurement plus about ½ inch seam allowance is getting transferred to the curtain panel, then cut along one side, leaving the other side sewed edge intact. I'm now measuring the length I'd like the valance to hang down, then cutting that to size as well. To prepare for hanging, the curtain panel is getting steam ironed on both sides. The top tab on one side is being cut back about ½ inch. One side of the curtain is being folded ½ inch and steam ironed so the fold holds its shape. The bottom of the curtain panel is also being measured and cut, then folded and ironed the same way. With the curtain panel laying good side down, I'm adding some hot glue to the folded areas so they will stay intact. If preferred, you can also use hemming tape, which glues the fabric together after ironing it. With curtain panel good side up, I'm choosing a grain sack stripe and antique sign from Funky Junk's old sign stencils to add to the panel. Then using a wider chip brush, I'm loading the brush, removing most paint, then using long swiping motions over the stencil to achieve a smooth, dry brushing effect with raw silk. I'm now positioning the antique sign on top of the stripe and stenciling it in ash. There's 3 ways to stencil. Tapping the brush up and down creates letters with the best coverage. Swiping the brush with longer strokes creates a smooth dry brush finish. Or swirling the brush offers the most even coverage, which is generally my favorite choice. I'm now threading a rod through the tabs and installing the first rod up near the ceiling and against the wall. After placing the second rod, I'm draping the fabric over it. And my adorable mini awning or bistro style curtain valance is now complete. Isn't it cute? The tones and theme are perfect for the en-suites look.
This is a beginner, non-sewer type of project. So first, I headed out to my local fabric store, picked out some pretty fabric and an Ultra Bond adhesive. The first thing I did was measure my window. I tackled the 2 straps for this project first. You can make them as long as you like, but I opted for 22 inches, so cut 2 strips 2 inches wide and 44 inches long. Then iron these strips in half. Next, fold the edges in and iron again. Make sure that the end width of your strap is at least as wide as your adhesive. Place the adhesive face down or paper side up in place and then iron for 1 to 2 seconds. Next, measure out your curtain by leaving an extra ½ inch on all sides. Start with the side seams and fold the fabric over ½ inch and press until nicely folded down. Then measure out your adhesive, cut to size, and place the adhesive side down. Iron into place and let cool. Then fold the fabric over and iron again until firmly attached. Repeat by doing the other side seam. Next, we're going to be making the pocket to hold the top dowel. Flip the top piece of fabric up and over. Then simply place the adhesive 2 inches down from the top seam and iron into place. Once cool, remove the paper backing, flip the top portion of the fabric down so that it is nice and smooth, and iron until adhered. We will be attaching the strapping we made earlier to this area. Also place a small piece of adhesive tape on the middle of the strap and iron into place. Repeat for the other strap. Once cool, remove the paper backing, attach the strap, and iron until adhered. Attach 2 command hooks above your window or on the molding an inch or 2 in from the edge. Place the top dowel on the command hook on either side. Then roll the bottom dowel up to your desired height and tie the straps. Look how pretty it turned out. For our non-fussy bathroom, this was the perfect curtain to add interest but not go against the design style. I hope you enjoyed this project.